senator. Our women reps are from Machakos, Makueni, and Kitui. For the National Assembly members, we have 19 elected members of Parliament, of National Assembly, and 1 nominated member of National Assembly. So, as you can see from the presentation, Kitui has 5, Machakos has 4, Makueni has 4, and the other counties listed have 1 each. So I'll just break it down until we reach the members of County Assembly. So in the members of County Assembly, the party has 84 elected members of County Assembly and 44 who are nominated. So majority of our members of County Assembly come from Kitui, Machakos, and Makueni. But we also have members of County Assembly from distant counties. Maybe I can single out, we have a member of County Assembly in Turkana. We have 3 in Wajir. We have 1 in Bungoma, 3 in Busia, 3 in Kisii. So it goes to show you that Wiper Party is not a party that is just restricted to one region. We are in as many counties as we possibly can, if we were to go by the 2017 general elections. So the next slide talks about youth performance in the 2017 general elections, whereby I'll give you a breakdown of the table that is on the presentation. Before primaries, or up to the point where we had primaries, we had received 748 aspirants, total aspirants. Those are men, women, and youth, for the people who had sought the intention to contest under the Wiper Party. And of the 748, 208 were people below the age of 35%. So this represents 27% of the aspirants during the party primaries. So 27% is ideally almost a third of the people who applied to contest under Wiper were young people. After the primaries, of course, you know, there will be losers and winners. So the total number of aspirants shrank from 748 to 507, whereby of the 507, 152 were people with 35 years and below, which represents 29% of the total aspirants, almost a third of the aspirants that the party fielded for the general elections. So after giving you that breakdown and background about the party, then I think in the interest of time, we can just go straight to the nomination rules. So the nomination rules, it is a large document. It's a 44-page document, which I think can be found on our party website. So I've taken out the excerpts from the document, which I think will be relevant for the presentation, and which with the blessings of the executive director and with his approval, he seemed fit that will be good for this presentation. So I'll give you I'll show you, I'll explain the structure of the election and nomination structure, whereby from the presentation you can see we have the National Executive Council at the topmost part. We have the National Elections Board just below it. We have the returning and presiding officers and security officers and clerks, who are majorly called the election officials. We will attend to we will see the functions they carry out later on during the presentation. Then we have the National Appeals Board, which is next to the National Elections Board. We're going also to see their functions as enshrined in the election and nomination rules of the party. So the first, I think I had initially explained the functions of the National Executive Council. So we're going to discuss the functions of the National Elections Board, which is the organ that is responsible for conducting nominations of aspirants and elections of party officials. So the National Elections Board is a body that is created as per Article 10.6 of the party constitution, whereby in the article, the mandate of the National Elections Board is outlined, their purpose and what they're supposed to do for the party. The National Elections Board is normally appointed by the National Executive Council, and it has 7 members who are of high integrity, and at least 1/3 shall be of the opposite gender. Anyone above the age of 18 is eligible to serve as a member of the National Elections Board. So among their functions, the National Elections Board, on the first day that they meet, they go ahead to elect a chair or a chairperson for gender sensitivity, who will be the person who will be coordinating when they meet, where they meet, and what functions they are supposed to carry on which day. So as I indicated earlier, the main function of the National Elections Board is to plan, organize, and coordinate and supervise party elections and nominations for either presidential, gubernatorial, parliamentary, and civic candidates. In addition to that, the National Elections Board is also responsible for conducting party elections of party. Is responsible for conducting elections of party officials within the party. And as I had said, party officials are the party leader, the secretary general, the chairman, the organizing secretary. So such leaders within the party are elected by the when they are being elected, the National Elections Board is the organ which is in charge. So at times, the National Elections Board can establish county or branch elections panels in each locations. Then the county election panels make rules and in addition of establishing the county branch elections panels, they make rules and regulations to govern the operation in consultation with the National Executive Council. So at the current, as we speak today, judging from the past general election, we were not able to have county or branch elections panel. Normally, the National Elections Board was the organ which was responsible for the overall management of nominations within the party. The other point is to determine eligibility of candidates for nomination as party candidates for presidential elections. You can see this is a key role, considering a presidential, if the party is to field a presidential candidate when the party fields a presidential candidate in an election, in a general election, the person has to be a good person of high integrity. He has no, I can use Kiswahili madoadoa. So NEB is the organ which evaluates the credibility of the person to contest as a president using the party's ticket. Another function of the National Elections Board is to appoint returning officers. That is, bullet 2, to appoint returning officers, deputy returning officers, presiding officers and their deputies, and their polling county clerks. So for security officers, the party normally usually uses the police administration. The party writes to maybe the county commander for a specific county, and we are assigned security officers for that day. Maybe just not security officers, but police officers to ensure that we have order when we are conducting our nominations. Independent observers and party agents are accredited entry into a polling station for the purposes of conducting nominations by the same organ, whereby they are given tags which indicate your name and they have and your location, whereby the nomination is taking place. After the nominations have taken place, the National Elections Board presents to the NEC the names of nominated leaders, elected party officials, and successful applicants for nomination as presidential, gubernatorial, parliamentary, and civic candidates. So from these fourth bullet, you can see that elected party officials, those are different people, and successful applicants for nomination as presidential candidates and etc. There are other people, but you can be a party official and still be a nominee for presidential, gubernatorial, and parliamentary and civic positions. So the other body that serves from the structure that I had given you, maybe I can go back for reference. The other body that I had given you from the structure was the National Appeals Tribunal, which serves next to the National Elections Board. Then the National Appeals Tribunal normally has 5 members who are people of high, who are people of high, good moral standing in society and of high integrity. Usually they are appointed by the National Elections Board, and their names are forwarded to the NEC for approval. NEC is the National Executive Council. On their first meeting, the members of the National Appeals Tribunal, they elect a chair who will guide them through the performing of their functions while their term is in office. The National Appeals Tribunal, their main purpose is to determine appeals arising from elections of national officials and nominations. They do this in respect of general elections and by elections. So in the event that we are going into a general election and we are having primaries, and there are some people who feel they have been, maybe the interests have not been met during the nomination processes, they can appeal the verdict of, let me say the word, the people, in quotes, through the National Appeals Tribunal. And another important point about the National Appeals Tribunal, when you are a member of the National Appeals Tribunal, you cannot be a party official or an aspirant in any party elections or nominations. This is to avoid conflict of interest, whereby maybe you can find someone who is a member of the appeals board, and again he wants to vie. No, now after primaries, when the nominations are over, appeals usually are made to the National Appeals Tribunal, and normally they are in writing, whereby the appellant has 48 hours to lodge an appeal. So 48 hours after the announcement of results to lodge an appeal, whereby they shall be required to pay an unrefundable fee of 10,000 shillings to the party for his appeal to be heard. And during the during the sittings of the National Appeals Tribunal, advocates have no rights of audience before the tribunal, meaning the aspirant defends his or herself in front of the tribunal. He can't come with a lawyer or an advocate to represent him. When they are performing their functions, the National Appeals Tribunal, or as it's normally called, National Appeals Board, determines the appeal in accordance with the Constitution of Kenya, any applicable law, the party constitution, and election and nomination rules within 10 days of receipt of the appeal. So if an aspirant lodges an appeal with the body, with the National Appeals Board, the board is supposed to give a decision within 10 days of receipt of the appeal. And their decisions are final. Once they make a decision, it's done. There's nothing you can do about that, because all decisions of the appeals board are in the best interests of the party. From the structure, there were just below the National Elections Board, there were returning officers, presiding officers, clerks, or tallying and polling agents, and there were security officers. We can look at their functions as enshrined in the as enshrined in the nomination rules, in the Wiper Party nomination rules. So we can begin with the returning officers and their deputies. We had said before the returning officers are appointed by the National Elections Board, and they are in charge of party elections and nominations. Among their many duties, they are responsible for carrying out briefings and trainings for other election officials on the proper conduct of party elections in accordance with the party's constitution and these election and nomination rules. So the election and nomination rules are contained, as I said earlier, they are contained in that document called the nomination rules for the party, and they can be found in our party website if you would want to read them in detail. The returning officers, they are also responsible for ensuring the required logistics at the polling stations are available. They are also responsible for ensuring that sufficient and relevant voting materials and equipment are available. Voting materials, these are equipment such as ballot boxes, ballot papers, indelible ink, stamps. They are counter books for tallying the votes and such. While performing their functions, the returning officers and their deputies, they usually liaise with the police to ensure adequate security during party elections. And their most important role, maybe I can say, is supervising other election officials and the announcement of results of the election or nomination. Supervising of other election officials, the other elections of officials, we're talking about the people who serve under them. These are presiding officers. We have the tallying and polling agents. Once the party primaries have been carried out, at the end of the day, as you know, tallying has to take place. So once the tallying takes place, the returning officers and their deputies, they compile and submit to the National Elections Board the results of the elections or nominations as the case may be. So you can, from that slide, you can see that we start with returning officers, then we go to the presiding officers, then we go down to the polling and tallying agents. Maybe you can briefly discuss about the functions of the presiding officers before we go to the functions of the polling and counting clerks. So most of the functions of the when you look at if you happen to read the nomination rules, you'll get that some functions of the presiding officers are carried out by the returning officer, because the presiding officer is ideally serving under the returning officer. So in addition to the functions the returning officer is providing, the presiding officer has to ensure the requisite logistics are in place at the polling station, and supervising the polling and counting clerks, who are people who serve under him. On the day of conducting the party primaries, the people who normally the voters interact mostly with are the polling and counting clerks. These are the people who issue the ballot papers, direct you to the voters booth, and ensure that you've casted your ballot well. Normally the polling clerks, sorry, I forgot to transition the slide. The polling clerks are answerable to the presiding officer, and their duties include ensuring that the requisite logistics are in place at the designated polling stream before the elections or nominations start, preparing and laying out the polling station, checking out the voters' details in the register. This normally happens when you want to cast your vote. They issue you with ballot papers to vote. They direct you to the voting booth and ensure that you've casted your ballot successfully. After you've casted your ballot, they ensure that your left finger is marked with an indelible ink. And at the end of the day, they are responsible. They help the presiding officers and returning officers in the counting of votes. As I said earlier, security officers, they are normally police officers who have been assigned to the party by the, specific county can I say, is it county maybe director? I don't remember the exact term, but in general, they are police officers. So I don't think I'm going that fast, but if I'm going fast, someone can raise a question and so that I can slow down. Now, the next part is the most crucial part of the presentation, which is the nomination process for national elections. I believe this is a part which most of you are interested to know what happens during that specific period. It is normally a period of between the declaration of vacancies in the various positions up to the party primary, which is around 4 months, 4 to 5 months. In this section, you're going to look at the qualification of candidates, what you're supposed to have if you want to contest as an MCA, as a women rep, as a governor, as a senator, and as the president. So the first group of leaders you're going to look at is the MCAs, and in the MCAs you're going to look at qualifications that you need for you to become an MCA. In the document, which is the nomination rules, election and nomination rules for the party, it says that a person seeking nomination for civic elections shall fulfill the following requirements. The first, you have to be a Kenyan citizen who has an ID or a valid ID or a valid passport. You have to be 18 years of age and above. And the third one is you have to be registered. You have to be a registered voter in that electoral area. So unlike you have to be a registered voter in that electoral area. In addition to that, you have to be a premium member of the party. So maybe some of you who might not be conversant to the term premium, when you're talking about premium member, is a member who has paid for premium life membership. The life membership fee for the premium life members is usually 20,000 shillings for MCAs. So you can't vie for an MCA seat if you don't have the certificate or if you have not paid for the membership. And in addition to that, maybe I can talk briefly about the various types of membership within the party. We have ordinary members within the party, which most of us belong to. Currently, when you want to be an ordinary member, it is free, but previously there was a fee which was being charged, but at the moment there's no fee being charged. So if you're not registered yet, maybe you can reach out after the meeting so that I can guide you how to go about that. After the ordinary members, we have life membership, whereby there are two categories. The first one is platinum and premium. Platinum is for members who want to contest as a presidential candidate, as governors, as women reps, as senators, and as members of maybe I can say members of the National Assembly. So the fee for the platinum membership is 50,000 shillings. You can, however, pay even though you have no interest of contesting with the party ticket. There are some members maybe who are NEC members and they just pay the money so that they can be paid up life members of the party. After the life membership the other membership is group membership, whereby the fee is paid by a group of individuals who want to support the party and maybe they know best the interest they know the best the interest they can have if the party wins the general elections and how they're going to benefit from the association with the party. The other qualification for you to be an MCA, you have to be a holder of a certificate, diploma, or other post-secondary school qualification. But with the BBIs, this qualification, I think, is being upped to a degree. So if the BBI possibly goes through, which we hope for as a party, then the qualification number 6 will be changed from a certificate, diploma to a degree, which you have to have before you vie, and which I believe most of us have. Another qualification for you to be a member of county assembly, you have to be a fully paid up member of the sub branch in the area in which she or he is seeking nomination. But the qualification number 7, during the last general elections, because I was a clerk to the elections board, I did not see it getting enforced well. Maybe some slipped through that qualification and they were able to be allowed to contest for the party primaries. For you to be an MCA, you have to be an active member of the party for at least 1 month before the time of seeking nominations, and you have to subscribe to the requirements as determined by NEB. I'll show you some of the requirements after we've done the individual qualifications for the different positions, whereby I'll show you a table that contains the documents that were being required in the past general elections. Apart from meeting the qualifications of the party, the aspirant or the candidate has to meet the requirements set out for civic candidates by the IEBC. I think that explanation has been exhaustive. If you have a question, maybe you can raise it after I'm done. Then I'll answer you to the best way possible. Next is we're going to look at the qualifications for member of parliament. The first qualification in the document is you have to be a registered voter in the constituency or county for which he or she seeks election. You have to be a Kenyan citizen with a valid ID or valid passport. You have to be 18 years of age and above. You have to be a platinum life member of the party. So the distinction between the contesting for MCA and for as a member of parliament about the life membership, for the MCAs is premium life membership, but for the members of parliament, it's platinum life membership. You must have attained a post-secondary qualification from a recognized institution of higher learning in the country. On top of that, you have to demonstrate that you are actively involved in party programs in a period not less than 6 months prior to seeking nomination. And just like the members of the county assembly, you also have to meet the minimum requirements for parliamentary candidates as set out by the IEBC. So just to add on that, when we talk about members of parliament, Parliament incorporates the two houses, the Senate and the National Assembly, whereby the Senate, it's where our members of the Senate conduct their business, official business, and the National Assembly as members who are elected from constituencies and county women representatives. The next slide, we're going to talk about the qualifications of governor. So for you to be a governor, you have to be a registered voter in the county for which you are seeking the election. You have to be a platinum life member of the party. I think that I've explained exhaustively on that part. You have to be in possession of a degree certificate obtained from a university, from an institution, a recognized institution of higher learning. You have to demonstrate that you have been actively involved in party activities 3 months prior to seeking nominations. And you have to meet the minimum requirements set out by parliamentary and county candidates set out by the IEBC. The next position, which we're going to discuss about, is the presidential position, whereby we'll discuss about the requirements that one needs to have for them to seek nomination as a presidential candidate with the party ticket. Among the qualifications you should have, the individual or you has to be an active member of the party for a period not less than 6 months prior to the time of seeking nominations. You have to be a Kenyan citizen by birth, be a registered voter, And just like the MCAs and the members of parliament, you have to be a life member of the party. And for the presidential, you have to be a platinum life member of the party. You have to be 35 years of age and above. Maybe we as young people, some of us we see ourselves as leaders, and some of us maybe might want to contest as presidential candidates. So you might find bullet 4 being a little bit oppressive. You have to be conversant with the support. You have to be conversant with, support, and subscribe to party ideology, philosophy, mission, and values. As a presidential candidate, you carry the vision of the party. So if you carry the vision of the party, you must be someone who knows the internal workings of the party, what the party stands for, and you must demonstrate good leadership skills. And as you know, currently our party leader is someone who checks all those boxes. For a presidential candidate, you have to be a holder of a degree from a recognized institution of higher learning, and you have to meet the minimum requirements for presidential candidates as set out by the IBC and such other relevant regulations that may be in force. I would like to raise a critical point about the presidential nomination. In our party constitution, I believe it's in Article 5, it explicitly says that the party leader is the automatic presidential candidate for the party. And for you to be a party leader, you have to be subjected to party elections during the National Delegates Congress, whereby officials of the party are elected. In addition to the seats which you can contest for, so those are the member of county assembly, member of parliament, we have governor, and we have president. We have party lists, commonly known as nominations. So the function of NEB is to prepare the list for members prepare the list of members who are to be nominated to different county assemblies and the National Assembly and the Senate, in accordance with the articles in the Article 97 Article 97, 98, and 177 of the Constitution of Kenya, and Section 34 of the Elections Act number 24 of 2011. In the election and nomination rules for the party, the document goes ahead to state a person nominated under the foregoing provisions shall be a person who is a member of the party on the date of submission of the party list to the commission. Then again, the other point on that section is the party list shall comprise the appropriate number of qualified candidates and alternates between male and female candidates in the priority in which they are listed. I can explain on that on bullet number 2, whereby the first sentence was saying the party list shall comprise the appropriate number of qualified candidates. The appropriate number of qualified candidates, the term, it means these are people who are, okay, maybe I can start with the MCAs. For you to qualify as to be nominated as an MCA, you also have to check out the qualifications set out for MCAs in the election and nomination rules. The second part was alternates between male and female candidates in the priority in which they are listed. So the term alternate means if the first person on the nomination list is a man, the next person has to be a woman, and the person who follows the woman has to be a man, and they keep alternating until they can no longer, until we are left with one gender, whereby they are now listed. Because if we are left with one gender, maybe as the numbers keep on adding up, you cannot be able to alternate. You will have to remain with one gender. The party list during the making of the party list, the National Elections Board ensures that the party list reflects the regional and the ethnic diversity of the people of Kenya. This is a specific for the National Assembly, whereby the people nominated to the National Assembly have to reflect the regional diversity of Kenya, whereby it's advisable that if you are nominating people, if the first person comes from one specific tribe, the next person comes from another tribe. The provision, however, doesn't apply to county assembly seats, because we are all aware that most of our county assemblies, they are the ethnic diversity. The majority of the people within the county assembly maybe come from one community or one tribe. So the provision excludes the element of having a regional or ethnic diversity for county assembly, county nominees to the county assembly. However, in the same party list, there is a category for marginalized people, whereby they allow for nomination of 2 members to the county assembly. So the slide that is active talks about disqualifications. So the next slide talks about disqualifications, whereby when you're saying disqualifications, you're talking about being disqualified from contesting for nominations, maybe as a member of county assembly, member of the parliament, and presidential. The the document, which is the elections and nomination rules, says that says that a person shall be disqualified from seeking nomination for civic, parliamentary and presidential elections if that person commits any of the following offenses. The first offense being the person has been convicted of any criminal offense amounting to a felony other than a political offense. The second point is an undischarged bankrupt. The term undischarged means you filed for bankruptcy, but you have not yet been declared bankrupt. A person who suffers from mental and or physical impairment, and if the impairment can affect his ability or her ability to carry out the duties of the office, will be disqualified from contesting in the nominations. Any person who has uncleared arrears with the party in terms of contributions will also be clear. I can go ahead to explain that point. A person who has uncleared arrears with the party, normally I saw this affect incumbent members of county assembly and parliament. In our daily runnings of in the daily running of the party, members of county assembly and members of parliament remit to the party some money, some monthly fees in order for the party to run. If a member fails to remit such funds to the party, he will be disqualified to contest for nomination as a WIPA member in the area he so wishes to. A person who is guilty of misconduct or dishonesty in the conduct of party primaries will automatically be disqualified from participating in party nominations or party elections. The other provision is if the member does not qualify to hold office pursuant to the provisions of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, the Elections Act number 24 of 2011, the Constitution of the party, or any such relevant laws and regulations that may be in force. all members who are seeking to be nominated with the Wiper Party, they have to sign a pledge of commitment and a code of conduct. The pledge of commitment, and the key element of the pledge of commitment is to ensure that the members pledge to commit, to contribute, pledge to commit, pledge to commit or contribute monthly towards the financing of the party, whereby for MCAs they have their set amount they commit to the party. The members of parliament have their set figure which they remit to the party. I think I had indicated earlier I'll share a screen of the requirements which were needed in the last general election. So the table on your screen is a checklist of what was needed in the last general elections, and the checklist applied to all members, whether you are contesting for as a member of county assembly, a member of parliament, a governor, or a president. It's like the default requirement, the requirements that spread across the members. So if you have intention, if someone had intentions of contesting, then they had to fulfill all these requirements. And normally these requirements are set out by the National Elections Board, because as you realize, some of the requirements in this table are not enshrined in the elections and nominations rules. So the first requirement which was being required during the 2017 elections was a copy of the national identity card or a valid passport. 3 passport size photographs were required. A letter of discharge from public office. It was only affecting persons who are public officers. A signed code of conduct. The code of conduct is usually picked from the party headquarters, but on such occasions, the document is found in our party website. So you download it, you fill, and you take it to a commission of votes or an advocate for it to get certified. There is a duly filled application form for nomination. So the application form is found at the party headquarters during the period for nominations. And just like the code of conduct, it has to be certified by an advocate. There is an application letter whereby in the application letter, the applicant has to explicitly explain the contribution he has made to his immediate people in the area which he is contesting. You have to attach your curriculum vitae, which is the CV, and you also have to be accompanied with supporting documents. So for the supporting documents, from my earlier presentation, you can remember, I had said for MCAs, they require a post-secondary certificate to show that you did something after Form 4 or the earlier, was it all levels? Yeah, I don't know. You have to attach, on the same line of supporting documents, for a member of parliament, you have to also have a post-secondary certificate or a degree from an institution from higher learning. But for governors and the president, you must have a degree certificate. But remember, and as I had said earlier, with the BBI, the issue of degree certificate might be something that will spread across all the positions if it gets adopted. I stand guided on that. Another qualification, another requirement for the National Elections Board, number 10, was a nomination fee receipt or a valid check in the name of the party. So a nomination fee receipt, maybe I can talk about the nomination fees or charges for the different seats. For the MCAs, the nomination fees is normally 20,000 shillings. But if you're an MCA, but there's affirmative action, for women, whereby they pay 15,000, and for youths who pay the same 15,000. So if you are not a youth and you are a man, you have to pay 20,000. But if you are a woman and you are a youth, you pay 15,000 for the nominations. This is in addition to the life membership fee, which was 20,000. So if you are a young person like me and you intend to contest for as an MCA for the party, the immediate charges, which the immediate money maybe which you have to remit to the party is for a youth is 35,000 shillings, whereby 20 is for the life membership and 15 is for the nomination fee. For MP, the nomination fee is 200,000 and the life membership fee is 50,000, whereby you'll be issued with a life membership certificate, which was the platinum. The nomination fee for governor is 500,000, and you also have to have a life membership certificate, which which you pay a fee of 50,000. The nomination fee for the presidential candidate is 1 million shillings, and you also have to be a life member of the party, whereby you have to pay the 50,000 to get the certificate. So in addition to the requirements set out in the election and nomination rules, requirements 13 to 16, these are requirements which are set out by the National Elections Board, so that to ensure that the people who are applying for the positions are people of integrity. Yeah, maybe I'm on time. To ensure that the people who are applying for the positions are best fit for the job and they are people of good standing order. The extra, sorry, maybe I skipped the signed code of the, okay. So from number 12 to 16, these are requirements set out by the National Elections Board, which have to be fulfilled by any person who wants to to seek nomination as a wiper candidate. The requirements for number 12 to 16, they might not be in other political parties, but for our party and specifically the 2017 elections, there were requirements which were needed. Number 12 is the signed Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission certificate. These normally can be downloaded and filled and taken to the ESCC for them to sign it and certify the document. The KRA tax compliance certificate. This is to ensure that the person who's applying remits his taxes to KRA. The credit reference bureau certificate, normally called the CRB certificate. These are documents which shows that the person who's seeking nomination has cleared or has no loans currently. There is the help clearance certificate, which shows that you repaid the money the loan that you had accrued from maybe you're studying the University of or an institution of higher learning. The same health certificate is given to people even if you never got the health certificate. You have to take it so that to prove that you never received the money. The certificate of good conduct, which is normally gotten from the Huduma Center. It's a police document. Codification number 17 is it affects the president and the governor, whereby it affected the president and the governor, whereby they had to have a copy of a degree certificate. So I'll go back to my presentation, which I was doing. And talk about the nomination process. So I'll gladly answer all questions after after I am done with my presentation. So maybe you can hold on to them. I'd like to take you through the nomination process so that you understand what happens between the announcement of positions by the party and the general elections, that entire duration. So the first step is the announcement of vacant positions by the National Elections Board. So the first bullet says the National Elections Board shall advertise and receive applications in forms prescribed in these rules. the last statement, which says receive applications in forms prescribed in these rules. Ideally, you are talking about the application form. We have the certificate of pledge and code of conduct. So the application form is a document which is prepared by the party for the candidates to fill. The second bullet, all interested persons shall submit their duly filled nomination forms and payment receipts to the NEB. Once you've downloaded the form, it has been certified, you've filled and it has been certified, you submit your documents to the National Elections Board. If you joined the meeting earlier, you can remember I had said while working at the office, I first served as a clerk to the National Elections Board, and you are the people who are responsible for receiving the nominations and ensuring that each member had met the requisite requirements. All interested persons seeking nominations in respect of any elections where these rules apply shall submit to the National Elections Board a duly completed pledge of loyalty form. The pledge of loyalty form, it is a certificate of pledge, whereby you say, I'll do this for the party, I'll endeavor to pay my monthly subscriptions to the party, and other functions which are mentioned in the document. Once the applications have been received, the National Elections Board then presents to the NEC, which is the National Executive Council, all the candidates or the persons who have sought, who want to seek, who have sought nominations of the party. After submission of names to the party, so after submission of names to the National Executive Council, now the party goes ahead to compile and publish the list of names of all persons who have been duly nominated. And after publishing, in the publishing of the list of names, the party has to publish the names in at least 2 newspapers, which are in circulation throughout the country. And copies of the lists have to be sent out, copies of the list of names have to be sent out to all returning officers at the constituency or the county level for verification to take place. At the offices, at the headquarters, and at the returning officers at the grassroots, the list compiled and published is open for inspection by all interested parties in the party nominations for a period of not less than 3 days. So once the lists have been submitted to the returning officers, the applicants who had submitted their nomination forms to the party, they have to go to the returning officers to verify whether their names and details are in their correct format. In the event that someone fails to reach out to the returning officers to verify his details, the records are usually uploaded to the party website, whereby you can check in and see how your name has been recorded and the type of photograph or passport photograph that you used, whether it is actually yours. After the inspection of the names, any person who considers that his or her name has been wrongly or unfairly omitted from the list has the right to appeal to the National Appeals Tribunal. And the appeal has to be filed 24 hours after within a period of 24 hours after the expiry of the inspection period. Let's say if the list was submitted to the returning officers on Monday for inspection, the applicants have Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday to verify their at least 3 days. So if the party intends that they'll stick to the 3 days for doing the verification of names, then it means the applicant has Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday to verify their name. And if there is an issue with the way their name has been recorded, they have 24 hours within the expiry of the same period of the inspection period to lodge their complaint to the National Appeals Tribunal. So after the announcement of vacant positions has been done and the documents have been submitted to the office, the second step is vetting of the nominations. In the in the document, which is the elections and nomination rules of the party, the document outlines that a candidate has to be vetted for the positions that he or she is applying to. But no, in 2017, the case that happened was once the applications were received at the office, the National Elections Board sat down and they reviewed each copy single-handedly, read through the application letter specifically to identify whether the person has any contributions to his immediate community. So during the vetting of the nominations, as I've just said, the contribution of the candidate to the party is a factor that which is considered greatly. And from the vetting, the NEB has to get an idea that the person who's applying has demonstrated loyalty to the party, its leadership, and organs. On top of that, the candidate, the aspirant who submitted the forms, has to show that he has the ability to represent the area for which the candidate seeks nominations, and is able to articulate and propagate party policies and ideology. This is the last bullet. I think is very critical, especially for campaigns, whereby you have to tell people what your party stands for and what your party intends to do for them if they get power. By your party, I'm sure we're talking about our party, which is the Wiper Party. So in the same bullet, in the same point of vetting and of nomination forms, after the nomination forms have been vetted and maybe someone has been disqualified and others have been approved, their names have been approved, the National Secretariat transmits a list of cleared candidates to the National Executive Council within 48 hours of the end of the vetting process. Once the name, I hope you guys are still remembering, we are not yet into the primaries. We are still talking about the nomination process, whereby the first process we said was announcement of vacant positions. Now we are dealing with vetting of the nominations, which is ideally the documents which you submit to the party. No. Now, in the event that once the names are submitted and we have only one successful applicant, or the applicant is unopposed, the applicant is declared the party's candidate for that position. If there is more than one candidate for that position, the NEB will prepare and announce the list of all approved nominees and go ahead to organize party primaries as appropriate. So the third step after vetting of nomination, immediately after vetting of nomination forms, there is complaints and appeals. The complaints and appeals are in connection with the vetting, whereby you might get that some members have been disqualified from the applications have been disqualified, and the NEB doesn't think that they should seek nomination as a Wiper, as a members of Wiper. Now you have the right to appeal the decision by NEB to disqualify your application, whereby the appeals are submitted to the National Appeals Tribunal in writing by the aggrieved party personally or through his duly appointed agent. And the period is within 48 hours of announcement of the list of party nominees. Then after that, the National Appeals Board or Tribunal, as it's normally called, determines the complaints and appeals within 10 days of receiving the same. The same by saying the same, I mean the appeal. And just as I said, I said before, their decisions are final. After the announcement of vacant positions, the vetting has been done, complaints and appeals have been attended to. Now we go to the party primaries, whereby the party primaries is the actual casting of the vote to elect party nominees who shall represent the party in the general elections. So the first key point there in the document, in the elections and nomination rules, is our primaries for the party, which is the upper party, are always by the way of universal suffrage, whereby anybody who's a registered voter has a right to vote. In the voting process, the party may decide that we can use the IBC register of voters, or we can use the party register, or any other mode of election method deemed appropriate by the National Elections Board. So the first document, which is the IBC register, you like you all understand that all voters are in the IBC register. But for the case of our party membership register, not all voters in the IBC membership register are in our party register. Currently, at the party secretariat, we are actively working to update the records of members in our party register, because we intend to use the party register for next year's nominations. If we succeed to update the document, because normally it's not something that ends within one day, but if we manage to succeed to clean the voter register and everything is in order, then the party will use the membership register instead of the IBC register. But in the event that we don't manage to update the records to capture every detail of our supporter around the country, the party has to resolve to revert back to using the IBC register, because it captures everyone who's a voter and has a national identity card. At some point, the party may request the commission to conduct and supervise the nomination process of candidates. By saying the commission is the IBC. So if the party wishes that IBC conducts the nominations for the party, they can engage them. But however, there's some level of, there appears to be some level of, maybe I can't say mistrust or disengagement from the commission. Maybe if you have people in the commission who are biased, they can mess up your things in a way which we don't expect. The NEB shall designate such, okay, I'm on the third bullet. The NEB shall designate such number of polling stations as might be convenient to the voters to access voting centers, and publish them not later than 21 days to the polling date. So for the party, our polling stations normally are located at the sub locations in each county. So the sub location is the polling station for the party. During the party primaries, after the vote casting has been done, the presiding officers shall count and tally votes cast against each polling station and forward them to the constituency returning officer, who shall then make the final tally before announcing the results. Sorry, maybe I can start again. After the votes have been cast on the day of nominations, of party primaries, the presiding officers shall count and tally votes cast at each polling station, and then forward the results to the constituency returning officer, who in turn makes a final tally of the specific constituency, and before announcing the result of elections in respect of the member of county assembly representatives and member of national assembly. Once the constituency returning officer has announced the member of the winners, he submits the vote tally to the county returning officer, who then compiles the final tally and announces the results in respect to nominations for the members of Senate, governor, and county women representatives, before making public the results of nominations for the county elections. So from the two long paragraphs, you can see that the first person who is responsible for for tallying votes is the presiding officer, where he counts, he sends the results to the constituency returning officer. The constituency returning officer makes a final tally of the votes received from the presiding officers. Then at the constituency level, the constituency returning officer now goes ahead to announce the winning candidate for the individual member of county assembly seats. And so not the seats, but the person who will contest with the party ticket for the individual member of county assembly seats, and the person who will contest, and the persons who will contest using the party ticket for the members of National Assembly in that specific area. No, after the constituency returning officers made that the determination and announced the results, he now submits the results to the county returning officer, who makes the final tally, so that you can get the total number of votes cast for the governor, for the women rep, and for the Senate. The fifth step after the party primaries, there is the announcement of results and issuance of nomination certificates. After the results have been declared at the constituency level, the winning candidate is normally given a certificate of return. A certificate of return is not the nomination form. It is just a temporal certificate, a temporal document that shows you are the winning candidate, and you are the winning candidate of the party primary, and your name, and you are waiting to be issued the nomination certificate for the incoming either by elections or the general elections. Now, the certificate of return is signed by either the candidate or their agent, and a certified copy of which shall be immediately forwarded to the National Elections Board. The forwarding of the document to the National Elections Board is aimed at initiating the process of preparation of their certificate of nomination. Now, after the results have been announced, it is normal. It is very normal that there will be appeals by persons who feel that they were disenfranchised during the nominations. Anyone who feels that they were disenfranchised has a right to make an appeal to the National Appeals Tribunal. And once he makes an appeal to the National Appeals Tribunal, the National Elections Board shall not issue the nomination certificate to the person who was declared. Maybe I can start again. After the primaries are over and winners have been announced and they have been issued certificates of return, persons who feel that they were disenfranchised during the party primaries have a right to make an appeal to the National Elections Board. If an appeal is made to the National Elections Board, the National Elections Board withholds the certificate of return until such a time that they are furnished with the verdict of the tribunal. So in that, essentially that means if you file an appeal immediately after the primaries are over, NEB will not issue a nomination certificate to the person who was declared the winning candidate until his case has been determined by the National Appeals Tribunal. I hope that point is clear, because it is very critical. So once you make an appeal within to the National Appeals Board, the determination, sorry. Okay, once an appeal has been made to the National Appeals Board, it has to be determined within 14 days of the date of the dispute. So the National Appeals Board has to make a determination 14 days after you file your complaint, before the NEB goes ahead to issue the nomination certificate. Upon receipt of the copy of the certificate of return, and where no appeal has been lodged at the National Appeals Board or Tribunal, then that means the members who lost the party primaries felt that they lost fairly, and they do not wish to contest the results, NEB will declare a winner within the 7 days of the primaries or determination of a dispute. Maybe I can repeat that again for if it's not coming out here. Upon receipt of the certified copy of the certificate of return, and where no appeal has been lodged at the appeals tribunal, the NEB, which is the National Elections Board, proceeds to issue the nomination certificate to the declared winner. So after immediately the results have been announced, NEB has 7 days to ensure that the person who was declared the winner in the party primaries gets his nomination certificate. The same 7 days apply to when the National Appeals Board finally determines the outcome of an appeal. The National Election Board has 7 days to issue a nomination certificate to the person who was now declared the winner after the appeal has been determined. Once the nomination certificates have been issued and the winning candidates within the 7 days after the party primaries or the date or the day of the determination of the appeal, the NEB, which is the National Elections Board, shall accordingly enter the name of the winner on the party list. And once the name is entered on the party list, the name shall not be removed except by a decision of IBC or Complaints and Dispute Resolution Committee or any order of the High Court. So it means once you've been declared the winner, NEB cannot shortchange you. So there's the last process on the nomination process is the petitioning. Is petitioning the nomination results, whereby it first starts with tabulation of results. Then someone is issued with a certificate of return. If the person is not you, or if let's say you are contesting and you're not the person who has been declared the winner of the primary, and you feel disenfranchised, you can file a return. You can file a dispute with the National Appeals Tribunal. A determination has to be made within 14 days of the launching of the appeal. And once the determination has been made, someone has to be issued a certificate, either you or if the election of the other candidate of your opponent is upheld, then he is issued the nomination certificate. Then his name is entered on the party list as a candidate who will represent the party during the general elections. So after the party nominations are done, the National Elections Board will continue to receive applications of people from areas whereby we don't have, no one had submitted their forms for applications. So let's say let's take a distant county, let's say Kisii County. Not all in the 2017 elections, not all regions were represented for party primaries, and there are some, let's say, county assembly wards which had no applicant as of the day of the party primaries. So if you can remember, we published the names of people who are supposed to go for the party primaries. Someone can take the names and peruse through, and he can clearly see such an area has not filled. There's no candidate who has been fielded. So there's still time to make an application after the party primaries, but you have to be just only one person who's interested in making that application or contesting for the ticket. In the event that there's a position which was not which had not been applied to by any person, the first person normally is given the first person to bring his papers after the party nominations are over is normally given the ticket, unless otherwise as deemed by the National Elections Board. So I know the document was long. Maybe you might have gotten lost somewhere, but that was the last slide, and I'll take questions in case you need clarification on any point. Isaac, Dan, over to you.
Thank you so much, Roy, for the 1.5 hours presentation. That was a good and commendable job that you've done in highlighting and explaining the structures that govern the national election and nomination processes in Wiper Party. At this moment, I want to open the forum for plenary discussions. If you have any question that you would like to ask or any clarification that you want to be made, you can kindly show me by a raise of your hand, and then we'll give you an opportunity for you to make you to ask your question, and then we will have it responded unto. So anyone who wants to contribute, we now open the forum. Gideon, you want to make a contribution? Let's feel free to ask a question, seek clarification. Yes, Gideon, you want to say something? Kindly proceed, Gideon. Can say we have Gideon. We have Wendo. Do you want to make a contribution? Wendo, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, do you want to make a contribution, ask a question? I can hear you, proceed. Okay. Do you have any other person that wants to ask a question, seek some clarification?
Hi everyone.
Hi. Who is speaking kindly?
Hi.
No, we can hear you, proceed. Please proceed, we can hear you.
Okay. Mine is not a question, but I appreciate the for taking us through the process. At least now we articulate what necessarily happens in the whole process, especially nominations, elections, our party. I think it will be great importance and help to us as young leaders in the party and even across the country to be able to be familiar with what happens, even visually. We may be having some indulgence in the party or different elections in a better position. So thank you very much, D.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gideon, for your contribution. Dominic Moya, you can proceed.
I'm not getting what he's talking about, please.
Okay, Gideon, there's a request that you repeat what you've just said and be audible kindly.
What is it about?
Okay, then let's have another participant who would want to make their inputs and contribution.
Thanks, Isaac. May I?
Yes, Mambo. Yeah, you can proceed.
Thanks. And first, let me acknowledge and thank Mr. Roy for the kind of presentation he made. And I think having a majority of the participants being youth, I'm expecting majority of them and have not kind of announced or maybe made a announcement. I know we have some who are going for elections who wish to participate in the coming elections. And I find such a presentation worth, and I'm requesting we can have maybe the presentation shared with the participants. Maybe in case of any questions, is something we can always follow up. But meanwhile, I think on the issue of nominations and preparations, I think something always we have youth not well prepared. As you have heard from Roy, is a requirement for anyone who wishes to participate in the general elections to be a live member of the party, which comes with a cost of 20,000. We have the kind of affirmative kind of arrangement for the youth and the women. So at Wiper, instead of paying 20,000 of that, you're able to get the nomination to be allowed at 15. Also, I wish to mention, it's always advisable for youth to prepare in advance, in good time, because such costs, some of those costs, they hinder participating. So I always encourage youth, if you are sure you want to participate in the coming general elections, it's always advisable and good to prepare in good time. Thank you, Mr. Isaac.
Thank you so much, Mambo. I hope you're going to stay for longer for the session because you're the one who will be giving us the closing remarks. Kivuitu Wambua, welcome you to ask a question or contribute to this discussion.
Okay, hello everyone.
Yeah, we can hear you. Proceed.
Dennis. Yeah, I'm Dennis from Wala. And my question was, there is this duration of 1 month for the MCA candidates, which I think maybe during the vetting, they might need some thorough look up or look into the person's character. There are those people who will just be jumping from one party to another because of their own reasons. Some coming to finish maybe the ideologies of the party. How will the vetting or how will the vetting committee be vigilant on that? Because it's a mess in the party anyway.
Thank you so much, Wambua. Roy, I hope you have noted that question. You're going to respond to it. Austin Madheka.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me from that side?
Yeah, we can hear you. Proceed.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity, and once more take this opportunity to congratulate Roy. The very good presentation. I see it of help actually in this period when we are towards elections. Now I have got a question, and this is the question. During the nomination of various people in various positions, such as the member of county assemblies, the member of the National Assembly, there's a point that said that for one to qualify, you must be an active member or an active participant in the party activities. How do they know that you've been an active party member or an active party member during the nominations? What procedures do they follow, or what steps do they follow as well? Then you also talked about subscriptions before nominations. When do one start redeeming or giving those subscriptions? Thank you very much for the opportunity as well.
Thank you so much for those good questions that you have asked.
Isaac,
Yes, Roy.
maybe you can repeat the last question.
Okay. Austin, can you repeat the last question?
I was asking about the redeeming of our subscriptions.
Okay, Roy, I hope it is now clear. Felix, we also give you an opportunity to respond. How does the party ascertain that one has been active for a certain duration of time and hence they can be considered when it comes to the nomination processes? You will respond to that one later on. Let us get some more questions. Any other person who wishes to make their contributions or ask a question? Okay, before we have another person, Roy, you can kindly respond. Also, Felix.
Okay. So there was a first question about how does the party know that a person was an active member? Was it an active member or was a member of the party? Isaac, I never got the question clearly. Was it active member or a registered member of the party?
His question was, how will the party ascertain that a person has been an active member for a specific duration of time? Hence, they can be considered to participate in the party nomination process.
Okay. So there are two ways to participate in a party nomination process. The first way is through voting. Maybe you are a party member. The other way is you're the person on the ballot. So for the question was, how does the party ascertain that the person on the ballot has been active in the party? Normally, we have county coordinators in our party who directly feed the party's HQ information about the various persons who have been nominated, who have sought nominations in the party. But however, I will have to admit it is not always effective that the provision of being an active member of the party is looked into keenly, because there were some instances where, especially from the distant counties, whereby you find a person was had not been a member of the party, but he still had the chance to get to be nominated to contest as a OIPA party in the general election. So the provision for, especially for counties which are the far counties and whereby the person who's seeking nomination is one, it is rarely looked at. But whereby there are more than one person and there is a party primary which is scheduled to take place, the party usually liaises with we have the local leaders, maybe a member who's elected from that area. Also through the county coordinators, they can give a they give a direct assessment of the candidate to the party for the NEB to consider whether he has been active or he or she has been active or not. I believe that is answered. There was a question about nominations. The question was how does the NEB know that a person has been an active party member to be given a nomination slot? I think the person who asked the question was referring to the party lists, which are the nominations after the elections. I stand guided. That's why I got the question. So to be considered for nominations after the general elections, first you have to be an active party member. And I can tell you, active party members are well known. I can single out someone who's in the meeting by the name Felix Mambo, who's our Deputy Secretary General. He's an active member of the party. He knows where the party secretariat is, what the party is doing on maybe weekly to weekly basis. So trust you me, if you are an active member of the party, we will know you. And there was a question about redeeming of subscriptions. Maybe not the word redeeming, but maybe I can use the word remitting of monthly subscriptions to the party. If you are an elected leader, for example, I can use the case for the last general elections, which were held on August 8, 2017. The subscriptions, you start paying your subscriptions as soon as you start earning your first salary. So as soon as you get your first salary, you remit to the party. There's a set fee for the members of parliament and the members of county assembly. So it's automatic. There's a check of code being used. So once the salary is being prepared, the person preparing the salary includes to remit. He also remembers to remit money to the party, which serves as the monthly subscription. Yes.
Thank you so much, Roy. Felix, do you intend to respond to some of the questions that have been asked before we have another round of questions?
Thank you, Mr. and Roy for watching my participation. Add on maybe on the ways of party as for those maybe that's familiar also the youth in the
Okay. Felix, we can't get you clearly.
Am I audible now?
Yes.
Hi, am I audible now?
Yes, we can hear you, Felix.
Sorry. I was saying so many ways everyone can be on mute. Many ways to how active a member is and loyalty. And first is maybe be able to participate in the party activity. And like currently we have so many activities in different counties. So for a youth to familiarize, know the role in the party process, we have a role of youth in there's a saying which always people in different parties say, for you to get level, like kazi ya kupunguza. And sure is that with that saying, punguza viti. So lazima available kazi kama hizo. There's another I didn't get it. But on the issue of norms, sure, majority on the in the past you see the motivates a party, but and we have to fight that and
Mambo, I'll have to cut you short. Your internet is very unstable. We hardly can be able to hear you well. So we give you a few minutes to work on it, and then we can we get some more questions. Dominic Moya, I can see your hand is raised.
Yes, my hand is up. Everyone.
Karibu sana, you can now ask your question or contribute.
Yeah, are you getting me?
Yeah, we can proceed.
Yeah, let me take this opportunity to thank Mr. Roy for what he has done actually. Yeah, and we want such those people to come out clearly and give education to our people who have not known the importance of the leadership. Yeah, thanks, Mr. Roy. I want to ask the question. What if somebody owns the personal loans, such as Tara, plans, na zile zingine ambazo zinajulikana? Yeah, there's something that Roy mentioned. I want to be clear regarding the certificate or the qualifications of the high of level, the high of the education a member of county assembly should have. In the PBI 1 at Performance of Kenya, we heard that the majority, or else the 80% of member of county assembly currently who are in office, they even They even not went to even high schools. Hello.
Proceed. We can hear you.
Yeah. So I want to ask Roy to go through PBI, the third round, and see what they said. I hope we are together and ask my question that I had.
Thank you so
Dominic,
much.
I've not
proceed.
understood the first question about the personal loan or something like that.
Yeah. Mm.
I've not understood the question. Maybe you can repeat again. The first question about the personal loan.
Will somebody be qualified to own NCT or to compete for NCT when he or she has the personal loans, such as Tara, plans, and so forth?
Right, maybe I in my understanding, you see how a person wants to get a loan from a bank, they have to check your CRD status. Maybe that is the kind of question that he's asking.
Hello?
Oh, okay. I think I've gotten that question then. I think that is in relation to a requirement by the National Elections Board that a person seeking election must have a CRB certificate. So normally, some of these requirements, not all get enforced effectively. For example, the CRB, we have the tax compliance, we have the HELB certificate. So in the last general elections, the three documents, which are the CRB, the tax compliance, and the HELB, were not looked at extensively because they are not requirements of the IBC as such. So sometimes they never get looked at critically, but they are still requirements for your application to be received. I hope that's answered that correctly.
All right, can I say something?
Just a minute. There was another question by Dominic. It was talking about qualifications for MCA, whereby I had mentioned a degree. But remember, during my presentation, I said I stand guided because I'm not well versed with the document. So he requested that I read the BBI 3, and I promised to do that. And I think Dominic Moya was at the office 2 weeks ago. So
yeah,
I'll give him my feedback.
Yeah, Mr. Roy, can I say something? Because most of them, they don't know me. I'm Moya Dominic. Actually, I'm not saying this because but kindly guide me. So, I'm Moya Dominic, aspiring member of County Assembly from Narok South. So, maybe the last question that I may hand. Yeah, immediately after you have been qualified, you are being given a certificate from the party. So, apart from the certificate, what else does the party give to you?
Okay. I believe you're talking in terms of financial support and material support. So as we speak, we all know the party is not funded by the government. So the most appropriate answer to that will be there might be not the funding for individual candidates from the party, because if we are not funded by the party, by the government, then we can't be able to, at least the party won't be able to at least give something to our aspirants. There's another question on the chat whereby it says, can the mobile money apps prevent you from getting a nomination certificate or being nominated by the party? No, they will not.
Okay, thank you, Roy, for responding to those questions. I can see we have 2 more participants who want to ask their questions. We have Eric, Ogiri, and Wendo. A minute each. You ask your question, Eric, and then you have Wendo. Eric, kindly unmute if you wish to make a contribution.
Yes, I greet you all. Good afternoon.
Afternoon too.
Yeah, I'm Eric Okiri from South Africa. I'm glad to attend the meeting, and I was only having one question to ask it. It may seem to be familiar, but somehow to me is strange. I was asking about the certificate, those requirements in order to attain for maybe you are aspiring for the NC or the NCT. About the qualification requirements, I'm more concerned with the help loan certificate. I was asking, what does this certificate, or what does it help, so that it may be called one of the requirements that you are supposed to have in order to aspire for NCT? What does it cause? Because sometimes. Hello?
Proceed.
Yeah, because sometimes I don't understand. How does this document is related to aspiring for NCT? I don't understand. So if you may direct me so that I may understand about the help loan certificate, because I understand what about the criminal certificate. Just that's the idea. I think that good conduct. I understand about it, but with this help loan, I don't understand how does it come in when it comes with this aspiring.
Okay, thank you so much. We have Wendo. You can ask your question.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Proceed.
Yes, I would like to thank you, the hosts, for taking us through this program. It is very insightful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I think we have gained a lot from this exercise. Now, my question goes to the. It is about the nomination process. We have seen in the past of widespread complaints of the process in nomination, where some candidates have actually cried foul, and they've said that they were not given an opportunity for the people to decide whether they are capable or not, and there are instances where we see they are handpicked individuals. In as much as that you have taken us through this document, and the document spells otherwise, what remedies are there? What remedies are there for such individuals? And if we could have a clear guideline as to why probably this is not followed at times. Yeah.
Thank you for that good question. Who else? Roy, you may wish to respond.
So I'll respond to the first question by Eric, whereby he raised the issue of help certificate. When I was making the presentation, I said help certificate. Maybe let me share the screen again. So there are these documents from document number 13 to number, let's say, 15. These documents are set as requirements by the National Elections Board, and they are unquestionable. It's the NEB who decides whether to put them or not. But remember, the National Elections Board, they keep changing before every election. So maybe this qualification won't be there in the next general elections for our party primaries. But if they so wish that they feel that the qualification has to be there, then it has to be there. Yeah, like we can't question them. They are the qualification. They are there are qualifications which are contained in the nomination rules, and the National Elections Board can add on to. And remember, I explicitly said some of qualification number 12 to number 16 are not in the nomination rules, but they have been set out by the National Elections Board. So the only option is you have to follow them. But if you wish not to follow them, you see now you'll be at loggerheads with the Elections Board, and you risk disqualification from contesting as a WIPA member. The other question was from Wendo, whereby he was talking about nominations, and he raised very serious points about aspirants being picked and irregularities being taking place during the nominations. While I was working as a clerk of the National Elections Board, immediately after the party primaries, I could see that how the losing candidates, I can refer a word as they used to use, the person who was won is a weak candidate. The person who he refers to as a weak candidate goes ahead to win in the general elections. So the elections board cannot just take the word of the losing candidate as being the correct, the true position at the ground level. And the other question was, yeah, okay. To add on that, on the issues of the how the neighbor addresses irregularities, remember there's an appeals board. Anyone who feels disenfranchised lodges an appeal, and we've seen appeals being overturned at the National Secretariat. I can mention there's a word in Makueni in Mboni called Kiteta Kisau. The former MCA was the chief whip, and he was running for nomination as the incumbent. He was declared the winner during the party primaries, but the person who lost with the least amount of votes appealed the verdict. The ballots were fed to the party secretariat. A recount was done, and the person who came number 2 was declared as the winner and was issued the nomination certificate. So decisions get overturned. But remember, not all, the process won't be fair in the entire country. If you can even look at the part of an annulment of an election result, it doesn't mean that if there are irregularities, then an election result must be annulled. They have to be massive for them to affect the outcome of in the sense that they affect the outcome of the results.
Thank you so much, Roy, for responding to those questions. And only adding on what you have said, it is our belief and hope that for political parties to continue building their capacity to conduct free, credible, and fair nomination process, so that we can at least reduce the cases of candidates who say that there was irregularities when it comes to the conduct of party nomination processes, because the outcome of not inclusive party nominations do have a negative impact when it comes to the overall conduct, mainly during the party elections. So it is our hope that the young leaders here from WIPA Party are going to continue advocating and calling for transparent party nomination processes, so that at least the results of the nomination processes can be a reflection of what is going to be in the general election. So we have Michael Kyoko who wish to add on something, and then I'll hand it to Felix Mambo, who will give a closing remarks. Michael, do you wish to add something? Michael, can you hear me? Okay, Michael is now in a position to. Yes, Michael.
Hello.
You wanted to add something? Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, I wanted to add on what Roy has said, and I think you also said it on the issue of these integrity institutions, it is not a matter of, let's say, Wi-Fi by those institutions, or you even present your papers. Remember, when you get the party certificate or the nomination certificate from the party, you take it to the IBC, and some of the requirements IBC requires is that you have been cleared by the Chapter 6 of the Constitution. And it is in the Chapter 6 of the Constitution where we get the clearance from the police, from the IBC, I mean from the ESCC, from ELM, and also from CRB. So I think those people were asking as if it is put by the party. The thing is not for the party, it is for, we are only preparing ground for them so that when they get to the IBC, it will not be taken back to maybe look for those letters which already have been asked in the nomination for IBC. Yeah, that's my contribution.
Thank you so much for the input. Those are duly noted. Felix Mambo,
Yes.
thank you so much for making your contribution. Sante. Mambo, I now welcome you to give your remarks and also the closing remarks.
Isaac, and thanks for hosting. And Isaac,
you're breaking. We can't hear you clearly. Mambo? Okay, it seems Felix has a problem with his internet connectivity.
Audible?
Okay, now proceed.
Am I audible?
Yes, you can proceed now.
All right, thank you. As I was saying, thanks. We can always continue in other forums. We can always join and continue the conversation. Please receive greetings from Honorable Mbula Mutula. Am I audible? Isaac?
Yeah, proceed.
All right, thank you. Receive greetings from Honorable Mbula Mutula. We have elections, by-elections in Makueni, in Machakos, so those are remote areas, they could not participate. Also, as I close, I encourage you to participate in party processes, and that's the only way we can be able to identify you. We can identify your loyalty and your participation in party processes. So, without much saying, I wish to thank the members who found time to participate in this conversation, and from us to UCMD, we wish to request for more of this, because we are having new members who we are recruiting from different counties, at least for them to be able to familiarize with the different topics that we can be able to discuss. Thank you, Mr. Isaac.
Thank you so much, Felix Mambo. And on behalf of CMD Kenya Secretariat, want to pass our sincere gratitude to Roy, the facilitator of today. That was a very good presentation. In case you need the presentation, you can reach out to him. Roy serves as the secretariat of the party. That can give you that the document and for your information. And also want to thank you all members for taking your time to be part of this discussion. And it is our hope that you're going to continue this conversation in your own the party forums, and when hata mkienda huko mashinani, you can continue sensitizing the members on the party nomination and the election procedures. Thank you so much, and may God bless you. Asanteni.